All right, we're going to talk about Google Plus for a little bit here because there's something that you need to know about it besides the growth. 27 million users in just a matter of weeks and poised to grow, and Google is so powerful you can't seem to ignore it. But one thing that a lot of people have missed is the fact that Google cannot afford to go halfway. Google is either going to pull the plug on Google Plus or it is going to massively succeed, some way, somehow. Let me explain why. Right now, there's an analysis that says that about 5 out of every 6 Google Plus accounts, those 27 million that have been created, are mostly inactive. And this has to do with the fact that Google Plus really hasn't hooked into the rest of the internet. Little API hooks, application programming interfaces. These are the things that allow you to control your Twitter from the browser and from Hootsuite and from TweetDeck and from all these other third-party applications and programs. Same goes for Facebook. But you can't post to Google Plus from anywhere but Google Plus yet. So that's one thing we'll be watching for, is how much Google Plus plays with the rest of the ecosystem. But here's the really key point, is that Google can't afford to be a loser here. The whole point of Google Plus was to inject a social component into the algorithms. Every algorithm Google has ever developed for its search business has been gamed. It's been figured out. There are search engine optimization experts out there that figure out the right kind of meta tags and the right frequency for keywords to appear and the right kind of software to use to build the website in order to squeeze the most out of the algorithm and to get the search engine rankings. Well, Google is trying to bypass that by making the rankings more relevant, and it needs a social component to do that. Right now, Microsoft's Bing is working with Facebook, so you're starting to see some of those results popping in there, things that are relevant to you. But Google needs to have a social component in the algorithm. The problem is that if Google sits with Google Plus, and let's say it tops out at about 50, 60 million users, that's not enough. That's not critical mass, because the vast majority of the content being loaded in are going to be loaded in by search engine optimization experts. The only people who will be playing on Google Plus for any length of time are going to be those who have a vested interest to do so, which means Google will either have to tuck tail and run like it did with Buzz and with Wave, or it will have to provide some kind of incentive. Either some sort of micropayments, paying people to use Google Plus, or providing some type of incentive, maybe the next Gmail, the next killer app that you can only access from within Google Plus to give people a reason to be there. It doesn't sound that far-fetched. Remember, Google bought Android. It bought the operating system and then made some tweaks to it and released it free, trying to get it on as many handsets as possible. The theory is that if they can get people using Google's operating system on their phones, then Google can serve up all kinds of ad impressions and keep you locked into the Google ecosystem. There's a business case, there's a business model for it, but what's going to be the business model to get people, enough people, to use Google Plus so that that social component is big enough, too big, to be gamed? What makes it even more interesting is that Google just spent $12.4 billion of its cash reserves to buy Motorola, mainly to get the patents. But that's an awful lot of money. Does Google have the resources? Is Google willing to lose money on Google Plus in order to bolster its search business? That's a question that Google's going to have to answer for itself, because ultimately Google Plus is either win big or go home. And every step along the way that Facebook gets an opportunity to steal features, emulate features, more or less give people a reason not to leave Facebook for Google Plus, just makes it that much more expensive for the folks at the Googleplex.